Hello, everyone, and welcome to this presentation about the study group tutoring, an overview of the model, program evaluation, and training techniques. So let me first introduce myself. My name is Bahar Kokabian, and I'm the tutor coordinator at the LSU Center for Academic Success. And I work mostly with the academic support you need. And this is my email address. If you would like to connect, I'll be more than happy to connect with you. And to also give you more details about, my background, I've been also a former tutor, actually at CCACSA, and also I've been an instructor here at LSU. So I've seen the other sides of, the story as well. So with that, let me also tell you a little about our center. Our center, we are the Center for Academic Success. We have been awarded, with the NCLCA Center for Excellence Award for the second time in 2019. And we also we actually had this award for the first time in 2016. We have about 20 professional staff and about 150 student employees, including tutors, supplemental instruction, leaders, and also, the support staff. And we also work with some of the faculties at LSU, here at LSU, from different colleges and departments. We call them our faculty partners. LSU CAS provides free services for all of the students, all of the LSU students, and these services include supplemental instruction, tutoring, as well as academic coaching, which I will explain more. So before we get into the details, of my presentation, I'd like to show you a few ways to engage during this presentation. And so I know most of you must have been familiar, at this point by Zoom, but if you're not, that's fine. At the bottom of your screen, if you see the participants icon, if you click on that, there are, a few options for you to, hit to basically interact with everyone else. However, we will, allow some time at the end of the session for you to ask questions if you have any. We will mostly use the chat box. So I will ask a few questions during the presentation to hopefully get some feedbacks from you and have that discussion. And there is also, the reaction button. That's a fun, thing to do. If you haven't tried it, you can try that one as well. Very well. So let's start, with the goals of this presentation. So whenever, we want to start a new service, there are a couple of questions that we should ask ourselves, because the study group model was also a new service and model, for us. So we came up with this question. So the first one that we asked ourselves, and we're going to, ask it here again, is that why in the first place we needed this service? What was the reason behind this study group model? And then the second question, whenever we want to, start a new service, is that, okay, how we're going to implement this new model. So we will talk about, some strategies and how it all started for us. And then we need to also show if we have any responses from a student, if students are using our services. So that was also, another question for us. Once we started that, we wanted to see, okay, what's the feedback from the students? Are they actually using it or not? And then, like many of you, we had to adopt because of the COVID. So that was, another thing that we kind of, maybe struggled a little bit at first, but like, all of you, we kind of figured it out, finally. Very good. So I want to first, hear from you, and I want to know what are the services that you provide, in your center. So if if you could just leave in the chat box and tell me, because I want to know where you're from, what, university you are, and then what services in terms of, academic support or academic coaching, what services do you provide to students? Very good. Yes, Beth. Yes, Beth is one of our professional coaches. Content tutor, very good. Yes. So Rosie says that she works at the AXA. Yes, Alex, you Cox Communication Center. Very good. So I see a lot of people from the Cox Communication. UGA. Okay, you have the structured study hall. Great. Mentoring. Great. Subject tutoring. Writing center tutoring. Great. And MATLAB tutoring. Good to know. Very good. So exciting to see what you all are doing. Tennessee State University, general academic support, including student athlete development. University of Alabama, very good. So structured study hall again, very good. Content tutoring, guided study, structured study, very well. So I can see, a lot of similar services in terms of different types of the service. So to just go more into details of what we offer here at at the Center for Academic Success, if we can divide our services into like two categories. One will be learning strategies, and then the other one will be the content support. So in regards to learning and strategies, we have wonderful academic coaches that they help students with the learning strategies, and it's in a one-on-one setting format. And we also present different workshops for LSU students throughout the semester, and those are in a group setting format. We also have an online course. It's called Learning Journey, that students, especially freshman students, they are enrolled in that course, and they kind of can have that self, assessment about the types of the learning that works, better for them. And in terms of the content support here at the Center for Academic Success, we offer supplemental instruction. We offer, of course, the study group, which is our new model, and we also have a tutoring, and we also have SI office hours. So if you can see, it's a mix of individual tutoring and group tutoring, because we want to basically cover both formats. So we want to make sure that we can basically cover the needs of all the students if they want either one-on-one or in a group setting. Okay, so the first questions that we wanted to answer is that why did LSU create the study group model at CAS? What was the need? What was the rationale for this new model, and what does the model look like? So we're going to answer that question. So as I said, we first, before summer 2019, we had, in terms of content support, we had only individual tutoring, which was, in a one-on-one setting. And we also had supplemental instruction, which were usually, done in a big SI classes. So we felt that there is a gap between the individual tutoring and those supplemental instruction. Because we are a certified center in terms of SI, supplemental instruction, we are certified by the UMKC, University of Kansas City. So we have to, for the matter of the certificate, at least, we have to follow those certification requirements and patterns. So we felt that there might be a need and potential for a type of a service that it's in a group format, but it's not as strict and as planned as supplemental instruction, which it can go with the flow of what a student need. And maybe it can also have like less student, not as big as supplemental instruction, but it's still more than, 1 or 2%. So that's why we came up with this study, the idea of this study, group tutoring. And before we move into the model, we had to think about, okay, what are the differences between individual tutoring and group tutoring? So the first difference that comes to our mind is first the timing. When the student goes in an individual tutoring, they can ask any questions, versus in a group setting, time per student is limited. In terms of also, the level of the backgrounds of the students, in a one-on-one setting, you adapt to the way, to the background of one student. However, in a group setting, you have to adapt, the style of your tutoring so that you can, meet all the students' needs. So you have to, cover more learning styles. The session goals, might be also different. You want to meet the goal of the whole, all of the students in your session. And also the perspectives and approaches might be different. In individual tutoring, is limited to only 2%. One is the student, the other one is the tutor. However, in a group setting, they can learn other perspectives and approaches. So if you know any other differences between individual and group tutoring, please leave them in the chat box. I tried my best to kind of catch up myself with the chat box. So as I said, if you can think of any other differences, please leave them here so we can review them as well. And we can, as I said, just learn from each other. But as I said, that those differences are not, they don't mean that one is necessarily better than the other one. We just have to be aware of those differences and kind of identify, okay, based on those differences, what is the need for our students? Very well. So in terms of group learning, what are the other, things that a student can benefit in a group environment? So there are a lot of benefits. We talked about some of the, limitations, but there is still a lot of benefits to a group study format, because when the students are in a groups, they can think critically about about the subjects, because they can hear what others are saying and they can think deeply about those, and they are eager to to participate in the discussion, and that discussion will actually help them to to stimulate their interest in the subject matter. So that's another benefit of group formatting. And they can also develop their interpersonal skills. Some of our students, they are freshmen, and when they come to college, they don't know anyone. So when they come to those smaller group setting, maybe not those, big classes, but in a smaller setting, they can get to know their, classmates, and they can develop those interpersonal skills with each other. So we believe that this group settings will be definitely a positive learning experience, because there is a leader inside the group to basically facilitate the session. Yes, okay, so I see we have a question here. So yes, so definitely, because I'll talk about the details of like how what was the expectation for our study group leaders, but we definitely train them to still do all the scaffolding and basically the like questioning techniques, and we will talk about those in in next slides more to see what were the trainings and what was the expectation for our study group leaders. Yeah, but yeah, definitely you can still, with some techniques like redirecting, you can, pose a question to one person and then redirect it back to another student for the next question. So in this way, you can still engage the whole group, and you can also, scaffold at the same time. Very good question. Very well. So the next questions that we needed to answer is that, okay, how are we going to, implement this study group model? What are the tips and strategies that we need to follow in order to initiate this model? Okay, so how did this all begin for us? We initiated this service in summer 2019. And the reason that we did this is that we usually choose summer semester as a good semester, as a perfect time if we want to basically practice and try any new services. So whenever we want to try a new service, or if it's a new software, we usually pick summer semester because we have less students, so we have more time to basically practice those, techniques. So it was a perfect time for us. It was summer 2019, and we said this is a good time for us to start this new service and see just what's the response from the student. And we started with the most demanding tutoring courses. We did a report, on the software that, we used to have. And then we found the most demanding courses for students. And, we were glad to start this with those courses because we could tutor more students at the same time for, those demanding courses in a group, environment, in a group setting. The other thing that was our goal is that we were hopeful to, get the supplemental instruction approval for some of the courses that we thought they have the potential to be approved. So we said that we will try this with the study group model. And if we get the response, hopefully we can apply for these courses and get fund from colleges to be a supplemental instruction course. And then we started marketing. We contacted our faculties. We told them about this new service and the benefits of this new service. Even we did some in-class announcement. We went in the beginning of the classes in the summer, and we asked the faculties to allow us to speak about, these services for a few minutes in the class. And I would say that from my own experience, that helped a lot. We also have a social media for our center, so we use that platform as well. And of course, we distribute some flyers around the campus. And then we needed to start the scheduling. And if you are new in this area, I would tell you that it's the scheduling those session. It's very tricky. We have to look at different things. One was, of course, the time of the main classes, because we didn't want to have any conflicts with the original class times. And also we looked at the other courses that are offered at the same semester, because we didn't want students to miss the chance to participate in the session. So we tried our best to not schedule during any times that those classes are offered. We also looked at our supplemental instruction services. We looked at, as I said, the schedule of other services that we had, because we didn't want these services to compete. We wanted to offer these services to students so that they can choose themselves based on their need to attend into any of these sessions. Okay, so, and then once we did marketing and everything, it was time to prepare our study group leaders. Of course, we started with the tutors that they were more experienced, because this was a new service and we didn't want to start with fresh tutors. So we started with experienced tutors. And we told them to have some sort of planning, in advance. So as I said, these group tutoring, these are not as planned as supplemental instruction session. They need to have some sort of plan. They need to have some objectives in mind, but they don't necessarily have to follow that plan all the time. It goes more as a flow of what a student needs, and it's more flexible comparing to supplemental instruction. And we gave them some, we talked about some warm-up activities to basically start the session. Yes, yes, Caitlin. So Caitlin asked if we compensate them for planning time. Yes, we do. We always tell them that if they decide to submit that planning on our Moodle page, then they definitely pay for 1 hour of planning document. Good question. But as I said, that was not necessary. We had a few, experienced tutors that they said that they know like what are going to work on that, day. So, and they were fine without a submitted planning. But for those that they submitted the planning document, we paid them. And we gave them the syllabi for, the courses that they were supposed to, be the leader. And we encouraged them to contact the instructor, but again, that was not mandatory and necessary, unlike the supplemental instruction, which you have to, be in contact with the instructor. And of course, we had our CAS tutor training in the beginning of the semester. So they had to come to that training, but we also designed one session just for our study group leaders to basically talk to them more about the ways that they can engage with students. So if you were a tutor, I'm sure you are familiar with this cycle. So this is the individual tutor cycle. So we still wanted our tutors to follow the tutor cycle because we didn't want them to, to ignore these, cycles, because that's the core and the basics of tutoring. So we still encourage them to, to have that greeting moment, to break apart, the big problems into smaller one, check for understanding, and then have that recap moment at the end of the session. So that's why we still want them to come to our full tutor training. But of course, we wanted them to, to talk to them, as we said, more about the group engagement part for those of them that they were not familiar. So we gathered some, information from different resources, and these are just a few of the resources that, we use for our center. So as I said, we still use the manual for the supplemental instruction that we had, and also from like other schools, the supplemental instruction manual from like, Middle Tennessee State, School, Florida Atlantic University, read some articles and, books about how to, what are the best, strategies to engage a student in a group setting. And if you know any other resources, please, feel free to put them in the chat box. I want to also know from you, what are the resources that you use for your center? Okay, so when we read all those, resources and documents, we picked a few. As I said, we didn't want to follow strictly the supplemental instruction, but we chose a few of the strategies that, we thought it might be beneficial to the group tutoring. The first one was the redirecting, and that's the one that I said that it's a very good way to engage students. When a student asks a question, the leader can either ask for more specific information from a student, so they can redirect it back to the students, or they can redirect it to the other students. So in this way, they can engage the whole group into the discussion. And the other things that we taught our study group leaders are about those collaborative learning techniques. We we talk to them about different techniques like think, pair, share, jigsaw, how to use, cluster method. For example, jigsaw is good when you have a big problem, you divide it into smaller parts and you assign each group one part of that problem so that when everybody comes back, together, the whole problem is solved. And then we also introduced them a few games and activities like Kahoot. Kahoot is the most favorable website for that our supplemental instruction leaders they use, and also quizzes. So we taught them that they can use these website to create multiple choice questions and quizzes for a student that are still kind of fun to do. And also we taught them other games and activities like one activity for a student is to predict a test question, or one person works on a problem and describe it to the explain it to the other person. So we talk a lot about those games and activities in our study group training. Very well. So now I want to hear from you, and I want to know what are some group engagement strategies that your tutors use is either in an individual tutoring session or in a group session that you find them helpful. So please, if you have any, if you know of any other websites, or if there is any other games, if you know the name, we'll be happy, to know that. I'm sure that might be, that will be useful for all of us. And if you don't recall the name, it's still fine. You can just, tell me, because as I said, we search for the games and activity usually, before we start the semester, once we are preparing all the training document. That's the time that, we'll look and see, okay, what are the other things that other schools are doing. That's why I said, like, I'm interested to know what other schools, what other tutors are using. Is there any certain, games or activities that you find it helpful? Well, but if anything comes to your mind even later, I appreciate if you could share that with us. Okay, some things are coming. Group-based concept mapping. Yes, mind mapping can work with groups. That is true. Okay, so I see at UGA you don't do much group tutoring, which is fine. Other student an opportunity to look into their resources and see if they're able to have a teaching moment with their fellow tutees. Yes, this definitely also, our go-to method, to ask one person to explain that to the other students. Yes, so Rosie, just start Kahoot. It's really fun, especially our students. They like the sounds when it plays. It's very calming and relaxing. So you may want to try that. Very good. I'm glad to hear from you. Okay, so now it's time for us to answer the next question, which is, did the study group model fill a need for students at LSU? And by that, we mean that are students using this service, or are they satisfied with the service? So in order to respond to that, we basically gathered some data about the attendance of those the study group service. And then we found out that when we first started this in summer, and then we continued this, of course, for fall 2019, we saw a jump that we expected, because more students are on campus during fall semester rather than summertime. So that was, something that we expected. And And we were able to compare the number of the students. So at the top, you can see the number of the visits, and the graph at the bottom. So this one shows the, oh, sorry. So the one at the bottom basically shows the number of the students. And then the one at the top, it shows the number of the visits. And we also thought that it would be helpful to see what's the distribution in terms of the courses. It was optional. Yes, this, so there was a question in chat box if this was optional, if it was required. It was an optional service to a student. So they could choose to either use one-on-one tutoring, supplemental instruction, or the study group sessions. So in terms of the courses, we wanted to say, okay, is there any difference between the most demanding courses in tutoring versus the group tutoring? And we actually didn't find the difference. It's still the math 1550, which is the calculus here at LSU, calculus course here at LSU. So still that was the most, demanding course in both the summer semester and also especially fall semester. So if you can see. And after that, the chemistry courses are very demanding here at LSU. And then after that, it was the physics course. And this kind of correlated with the trends that we saw also in the individual tutoring. So it was interesting to see that they followed the same pattern. Very good. Okay, and then once we saw that the students were using it, but we also wanted to see if they like the service, if they are happy with the service. So we provided, a few rate cards, and we gave those to students at the end of the session. But, we are very limited in terms of giving the response back from a student, because not all of them are willing to basically respond to the tutoring, to the survey.
Whether your learning services program that you're trying to get into is one person or 10 people, you are going to be working on a team.
Oh, sorry. I think, yes, okay, it looks like they're muted. Okay, so, so yeah, we wanted to see what's the response from the, students. Are they happy with the service? So we provided those, rate cards to a student, and we noticed that they gave us, a high approval rate in terms of the study group leaders' performance. So these are the questions that we asked them. We asked them if, about the study group leaders, were they satisfied what they thought about, like if they think that the study group leaders had a good knowledge of the subject, or were they able to explain the material. So as you can see, we got mostly positive feedback. So in terms of the study group leaders, we also wanted them to have that, self-assessment moment. So that's why we asked them the next questions. We wanted to see, okay, what is their understanding of, what's their level of understanding from this service. So we asked them if this service actually helped them to increase their confidence levels. And again, we got high approval for those questions as well. So this, again, this data helped us to basically show that the students are using the services and they are also happy with the service. They like the service. And again, the COVID happened, and I'm sure a lot of you can relate to this too. We had to, find a way to adapt to this new situation. And we will talk about that, what's our plan to transition back for fall 2020. So when first, the COVID happened, and when we had the lockdown and everything, we had about 10 days to switch everything to an online format. We were able to to switch everything to an online format, also our study group sessions. But when we came back, for the summertime, we thought that we can prepare. Now it's a good time for us to again prepare, now that we have more time to prepare for an in-person service. We thought about maybe offer a few of our services in terms of in-person format. So we thought that the study group service might be a good option to have that one in person. So we designed our Shell Tutorial Center place in a way, and we labeled each chair with a note, as you can see here, that shows that a student are required to sit at that place. And we actually went to the center, we measured, each table to provide that, the 6 feet, social distancing. And we also provided a lot of, sanitizers in our session to, of course, keep our students safe. So we thought that, at least we can have, if we offer this service in person, then a student, they can choose and they have the option. If they want to be on campus, they can use this service. If they want to be at home, they can still use our one-on-one tutoring session and supplemental instruction. Okay, and then in terms of the data, we wanted to see, okay, how it all changed, and definitely the numbers changed, and that was something that we expected. The number, as you can see, it dropped to about 100 students from that 900. And that was something that we kind of expected, because there were fewer students on campus. Most of them were, at home, other state, so they preferred, online tutoring. So this, but at least we could meet the, the requirements for those students that they wanted to have some sort of in-person service. And we evaluated to see what is the most demanding courses, and we saw this same trend for fall 2020 compared to the fall 2019. Is still math courses, the calculus courses, they were the most demanding courses for both the study group service and also the tutoring service. Okay, very well. So now it's time to recap. So we were able to answer all those questions. And as I said, this is also true if you want to start any new services. So we were able to show that there is a need for the study group service here at LSU that can basically fill the gap between supplemental instruction and individual tutoring. And we were able to prepare, training materials and train our study group leaders to conduct the group tutoring service. And also we were able to evaluate the data that we received from a student, and we found out that the student used the service and they are satisfied with the service. And of course, with all, COVID, we practice social distancing. We offered limited numbers of students to have, at our center, but we were still able to adopt. But we hope that we can go back to all in person for fall 2021. So what's the plan for fall 2021? We will try our best to hit more, marketing strategies and come up with, other ideas to reach out to more students as much as we can. We will send those mass, emails to all LSU students, and hopefully they know about our services. And we are planning to add more courses to the study group format. And yeah, with the vaccine, I'm sure everybody is excited about it. And we hope that we can have all the students back on campus, and we'll be able to conduct these fully in person. Very well. With that, if there is any question, you can either, unmute yourself, or you can just put it in the chat box. I'll be more than happy to answer. And also, if you want to, receive a copy of this presentation, you can email it to my email address, and also you can simply put your email on the link that is provided in this slide. Okay, so we have a question: were students required to attend the study group? Oh, I think we already answered this.
Bahar, I'll ask a question. First,
Yes.
thank you so much for your presentation. I'm just curious as to what you found students' needs or wants are in relation to what kind of classes do you feel they're going to for individual tutoring versus supplemental versus group? Is it going based on discipline? Is it going on?
Yeah, very good question. So as I said, we saw the same trends in terms of courses, demanding courses between tutoring and group tutoring, the study group tutoring. And we noticed still most of the freshman courses like calculus, gen chems, and physics courses, these are the high demanding courses that a student need to basically get help from. So it was the same in terms of types of which courses are demanding for our individual tutoring and the study group. In terms of supplemental instruction, that service is a little different because the part that the instructor plays in that service is huge. So whenever we have an instructor that is fully aware of our services, and they are willing to basically announce that service in their session, then we will get a high response from the students, attendance. But as far as tutoring and the study groups, the demand is definitely for freshman courses.
Okay, thank you.
Is there any other questions? And as I said, just feel free, to reach out and email me if you have any other questions, or if you would like to have a copy of this presentation. And thanks a lot for coming to this one. I know we have a QR code. Is that right? So let's see if we can have our host, the session host. So Mahfouza, yes, here, very good. So yeah, please, fill out the survey. We'd like to, get feedbacks from you. And yeah, thanks again for coming, and have a very good weekend, everyone. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Have a good weekend. Thanks, Beth. So Mahfouza, so you have also my contact information?
Yes, thank you.
Sure. It was good to see you all. And Beth, thank you so much.
Thank you.
For coming. Have a great day, everyone. Is there anything that I need to do
No, you're good to go. I'll just stop sharing and
sure, it was good to meet you. Have a good day.
Thank you. You have a very good weekend.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.